Right, I'll apologise for the backdrop. It's not very tidy today at all. It never is tidy, but there you go. Wonders of modern technology. Obviously, we've got Twitter and we've got Voice of Wales on Twitter doing live updates on what's happening from the court. So I want to do a very quick video running down what Voice of Wales have been saying. So bear with me. I've never done this before, and I'm just going to literally try and pick out the main points of what seems to have been going on here. So let's start at the beginning. Okay, so we start off with the defendant, which is obviously Tommy, and this is the first point. This was posted this morning, about an hour ago, I think, something like that. So it's fairly new. So Mr. Williamson has appeared in court today on behalf of the defendant. He says he's suffering from mental health issues, and hopefully he gets these resolved as soon as possible. The next thing that's stated is that there's a threat to him at Wood Hill. That's why he's been segregated. So that appears to be what his defence barrister is saying. And it says he may be certified to be fit and healthy to be segregated, but does not mean this won't have a long-term effect on him, as he's currently suffering from ADHD. Now, as far as I was aware, he'd been diagnosed with PTSD as well, so I'm not sure whether that's been mentioned, it's been missed in the report, or whether the barrister's not put it in. Okay, complaint to the governor about his mental health. He's saying he's feeling panicked and anxious, which is understandable, because if you've got ADHD, you're gonna be claustrophobic, because if you're enclosed, someone with ADHD wants to be on the go, wants to be moving about all the time. And he's saying, I can see myself change every day. I can't see myself being here another 4 months. That's a very worrying statement, that, actually. I want us to just think about that. Then he says he finds himself more and more in stringent conditions. His phone calls and visiting rights have been removed, and I can vouch for that. My visit was cancelled the day before it was meant to happen. A lot of other people had the exact same thing, are being removed, and therefore the ADHD is an important factor. To get him actually in the visiting lounge with his friends, talking and having a laugh, just reminiscing about stuff. You could tell when I went to see him before Christmas, that was massively important. He's basically lost that. Questions arise regarding his his category status, and they're asking if he can be moved to a different establishment. Wood Hill appears to have a large Muslim population, and that appears to be the issue. In other words, that seems to be where the threat's coming from. He was moved before to HMP Winchester with no incident in 2014. He was on the main wing to serve out the remainder of his sentence, because obviously I think he was in Wood Hill in 2014. That's where he got attacked, and this is why I wonder why the PTSD isn't mentioned. Defence is just being told that there is nowhere else suitable for him to go, and obviously the report is saying we can't believe that's true. He's applied for release on temporary licence for the 9th of February, and he hasn't heard anything back on that. We've established Wood Hill is not a safe place for him, and is harming him in segregation and is affecting his personality. And then with a bit more here. This will bring him into Article 3, and it's clear with the stress he's suffering, and we seek for him to be relocated, not to be segregated. The claimant's concerns focus on when he's being released. I'm not really sure what that's saying. Under mental state investigation, there appears to be errors in the report about self-harm. Those boxes were ticked with questions, the competence and validity of these reports, and his health monitoring, as he has no thoughts of self-harm or suicide. We must not lose sight of the cases who have been convicted under Article 3 as Mr. Lennon. He is a civil prisoner. So again, that's an important thing. He's a civil prisoner, and he is in is it a DCAT? It's a BCAT or CCAT prison, isn't it? He's in a high security prison, put it that way, where there are terrorists and a lot of Muslims that would certainly want to do him harm. Then it goes on to talk about segregation from other prisoners, and the defence continues, there is no risk to public interest if he escapes, and there is no risk to other residents or staff. So in other words, he is not an escape risk or a flight risk, and he's not a risk to any other prisoner. In fact, the prisoners are a risk to him, not the other way around. He's sought a visit from another prisoner. That prisoner has been told that if they visit him, they'll be subject to harm because they've been associated with Tommy. when they return to their own part of the prison. In other words, the Muslim gangs will get them. Okay. There's no prospect of relief for him under Article 14. It's believed that he's been treated in the way due to his political beliefs. Well, I mean, he is a political prisoner. I think we can quite honestly say that because of what the prisoner said. Because he is who he is, he can't go on the wing. And that's because of his political beliefs. So he is in solitary confinement because of his political beliefs. He shouldn't be in that prison. He should be in an open prison. Yeah, and then this defence goes on to say that it's highly likely that other prisoners held on grounds such as terrorism or violence that are held on the main wing and are not subject to the same conditions that Tommy is. Okay, then we go down to the claimant, in other words, the government's or the prison's barrister. Reasons why has been given by the Secretary of State why there should not be such a transfer. And this including category C, and if a category C is considered, segregation will have to continue. So what they're saying there is that the Secretary of State is saying he's not, as far as I can see, he's not allowed to not be. He's got to be in a Cat C prison. That's what they're saying. And again, that seems very, very strange. There will have to be a risk assessment if a request is approved to visit from another prisoner. And again, obviously, the only threat to the other prisoner is from the people in the prison, the Muslim inmates. In his cell, this is for the government or for the Crown. In his cell, he has access to various possessions such as TV, laptop. He can use to read email. He has a weekly Bible session. Well, whoopee, one Bible session a week, and he's checked in daily by the staff. There was a question of work. He requested to be considered for work, and that seems to have been denied. And obviously, Tommy's on a video call. He's disagreeing with something that the government barrister is saying. So they're saying on the 11th of March, he asked for increase telephone calls, and those are in addition to visits. Now remember, the visits from us, from his friends who are on social media, which is basically all of his friends, were denied. So anybody that's got a social media profile is not allowed to visit Tommy. Okay. PSO 1700 explains the role of segregation, and the state doesn't believe this has been breached. The state believes the current factors of his confinement is to remain and is appropriate without breach. Article 8, Mr. Yaxley does have access to staff and access to interaction with other people and not in complete isolation. The judge comments, now this is interesting, that they're just doing their job being there. They're not there on social visits. Now that's important. That would maybe suggest that the judge could be on side. So that's basically everything. It's gonna reconvene at 2 o'clock, I think, and we'll find out exactly what's happening then. So let's just wait and see. That's just a little update. Again, I'm not on the ground. I'm not in the court, but that's what I've got from Twitter, from Voice of Wales, and Voice of Wales are very good guys. They're very accurate in what they say. I know Ezra Levant's been doing some stuff as well. So that's all I can say. I'll leave it there. And obviously share this if you want, but it's just giving a quick update to everyone on YouTube. I'll try and get it on Twitter as well, but it's quite a big file, so Twitter might not let me post it, but we'll see what happens. See you all soon.